Hello.
Alicea, happy 4th of July.
Weekend. Yay.
Yay. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the 4th of July Tuesday broadcast of Came to Believe Recovery's Recovery Live.
Look at our fireworks. Sarah
Yeah,
did.
that's Cassera. Yeah. I love fireworks. So you've known me for like 2 years, Alicea. What's my favorite holiday?
4th of July.
By far. Not even close.
I don't know why, but 4th of July.
It's because it's the long days and I love fireworks and it's the beginning of the summer. It's just all good. 4th of
I'm
July.
sure it has something to do with military stuff, and you love the airplane thing and the George Washington stuff and the.
Oh, see, Cass, she said George Washington first. Not me.
You know it was coming. You knew it was coming.
It's coming. 4th of July. So, Alicea, I would like to ask you on this 4th of July show a few questions to see what you know about America.
Okay.
Let's
I
see.
know nothing. So let me just preface that. Nothing.
All right, everybody.
Bubble, and I don't care. But go ahead.
So that's her. That's just not even,
I don't care. I really don't.
So, well, just asking you questions.
Okay.
It's not the end of the
Bring it
world.
on.
What happened on the 4th of July? What's the actual historical event that happened?
I don't know. We got independence from something.
Because Sarah's shaking her head.
She's so stupid. I don't care.
Sarah's shaking her head at you, I think, for once.
It's Independence Day, so there's something about independence.
That's true. All right, for all of you out there, a lot of you think that is the day that the Declaration of Independence was signed, but that's not true. No. Historically, the 4th of July is the day that the Continental Congress voted to separate from England.
In 1776?
In 1776. Oh. The actual declaration was signed like a week later because they had to make copies of it. So that is not what was done on the 4th of July.
So what was done?
They voted for our independence on the 4th. Okay. So for all intents and purposes, we were independent as far as an organization. Just nobody knew about it because they didn't have to.
George Washington was there?
George Washington was not there. Good question. On the 4th of July in 1776, where was George Washington?
I don't know. At the gym?
Now, one of our readers is Googling right now to find out historically exactly where he was. I think on the 4th of July of 1776, he was in New York with the Continental Army. They were in Manhattan, getting ready to beat a quick retreat into New Jersey for what would end up being a delaying action that ended up turning the tide of the war. So if we want, we could spend the next hours talking about the tide of the war and all the things that changed that war. But we won't. But for all of you that know, July 4th in 1776 was that day that the Continental Congress voted in that we would be separate from Great Britain. But the war went on for several years after, to 79, 80, 81. The war had really not been a declared war at that point. So at that point, it was a declared war. Before that, it was a civil unrest because we were a commonwealth of the British Crown. So we were rebels. There was no anything. We didn't have a official army raised, all of that. This stuff was done. Now, why did we seek independence from Britain? Says, I don't know why I'm asking you, Alicea, now, because you didn't even know it was England that we came from.
No.
All right, here's the second one. Who fought World War II?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
Don't know.
So we had been greatly mishandled, misused, and abused by the British Crown, taxed to death, and used for our commerce, and to a point where the country decided it had to have its own government and its own interests, and decided to separate from the British Crown. And they did. And they fought the Revolutionary War and ended up winning and becoming the United States of America. So we're a relatively young country in the world. But freedom was one of the things that was our big rallying cry, was we wanted to be free of the British Crown. Now, the British was a monarchy, but they had a level of freedom. They weren't a dictatorship. It was not a horrible place to live, but we wanted a democratic republic. So the United States is actually not a democracy. Did you know that? It's a democratic republic. We actually are a republic. So democracy would be everyone would vote for everything, right? Democrat, like every single thing, everybody in the country would vote, but we don't. We vote representatives into Congress and they vote everything. So it's a republic. It works differently. So independently, we do have a say, but our legislators could actually vote any way they wanted once they got in. So our vote counts in that. So we're really a democratic republic. But freedom was the thing. And freedom is what we want to talk about a little bit today, because that does matter to us. That is where it relates to where we came from as far as our addictions go. And I want to read this, Alicea, and let's talk about our freedom.
Freedom from addiction.
You and I, right. The 9th step says this, and this is the promises of the 9th step. If we're painstaking about this development, and that's doing the 9th step, we're going to be amazed before halfway through, and we're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. I didn't really know much freedom personally in my life when I was in my addiction. And I'm not even sure I knew what freedom and autonomous will was, and choice, a level of choices I didn't have. I don't know, did you feel the same way? Really in bondage?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I was just, but I mean, how are you defining freedom? Freedom, just like joy, peace, serenity. I didn't have any of that in my addiction. But sometimes, even still today, I enter back into that feeling again, and then I have to do step 10. Right? What were you going to say? How do you define freedom?
Well, I thought this might come up, so I went into Webster's.
Right, because you knew I would be asking questions.
The definition of freedom,
okay.
Right? As a noun, it's the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint.
Yeah, but what about the addicts that go, I could do whatever I want and I could go wherever I want. I'm free, but they're miserable. Right?
Well, I've never heard them say that. Have you heard of the addicts say, I'm free to do whatever I want, but you're not free to be without drugs controlling your life?
Right.
How about the absence of subjugation to foreign domination or despotic government? That's more like the U.S. freedom, right? That's that kind of freedom. The state of not being imprisoned or enslaved. Well, I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one. I mean, I don't like it, but that's what I felt.
Yeah. I mean, certainly towards the end with me, I was imprisoned, enslaved, and even physically, Alicea, I felt like because I had to drink all the time, it limited all my movements. I couldn't drive anywhere. I didn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I didn't have any money. I really did feel restricted. There was a level of real physical freedom I didn't have, along with every other kind of freedom. It was a terrible place to be.
Yeah. Mine was more about exercise and more exercise and eating and binging and starving and the thoughts 24/7. And I just like couldn't get out of my head. Miserable. I wanted to die, but I was too chicken to do anything about it. I couldn't take those thoughts anymore.
How about this one? The power of self-determination attributed to the will, the quality of being independent of fate or necessity. Huh. That's
Hmm.
like there's no such thing as fate or necessity. I can do what I want. That's more your thing where I get to do what I want.
Yeah.
Freedom and happiness. Today gives me choices. That's what I feel, Alicia. Today I have a lot of choices to make positive decisions in my life.
What
Uh,
about the quote that I talk about all the time and when I'm teaching, I think it's 6 and 7, when I go into discipline is freedom. That's when I think addicts would say, no, discipline means rules and this. I'm like, no, discipline and habits lead to freedom. Don't you think?
well, tell me more about that.
Because when I'm disciplined with my nutrition and my exercise and my relationships and doing step 10 and whatever our routines are, I'm free and I'm healthy and I feel awesome. And when I'm not and I make excuses and then I'm like, I'm just going to eat it anyways. And then I feel like garbage. And that's not freedom to me. And I think it's not to other people, but they're not seeing it as that maybe, or they're in denial, or I'm just judging. I don't know. I just don't think their discipline is freedom.
So I would, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wanted you to explain it more.
Yeah.
When I'm going to agree with you, and you guys listening, think about, hear what she's saying and hear what I'm going to say about that. Cause it could be that, pretty on the surface, it's not freedom. Discipline means I'm doing something that without motivation, and that can't be free.
Well, you don't
Right.
need motivation. You need to just
Right.
do it.
Commitment. So, but when I get up in the morning and I set my alarm and I get up and I do what it says, and then I make my bed every day, it's disciplined. I make it every day. There is a freedom to it. When I come back, it's made. I feel at peace. I feel organized. I feel like something I have is under control in my life. I feel like I've set routines that move me forward. And now I set the routines freely, right? And the habits, we set them, but we set them with goals in mind and we move forward. And as we use discipline to continue to meet the goals that we've set and the habits and routines, I would agree. I find a level of freedom then because I access these growth points.
Totally.
And
And
right.
everybody can have their own thing, right? Because ours, I mean, we've been doing this for a while. So we
Mhm.
make the bed, and the night before we cleaned our kitchen and made our coffee and all that. Some people might have to start there. And then everything is, then we go to the gym and then blah, 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 blah. Someone might just start with getting up and making their bed. Start there. And then building confidence in yourself that you can do it consistently and how it makes you feel. And same with doing step 10 each night or whenever you do it, what works for you, then that brings freedom and
And it could
clarity.
be anything, right?
And
Maybe they don't want to make their bed. That doesn't have to be the thing that you do, right?
yes,
It could be.
come on, make your food. You
Let's
kidding
see.
me?
Katsara, do you make your bed every day? Yes, no. See, Katsara does. She makes it every day.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. So in this 10th step, it says this, and this isn't really freedom, but I like this sentence as far as it relates to freedom for me. It says, we feel as though we've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. That's a freedom to me. That's neutrality, safe and protected. I'm without influence or undue influence by negative things, and I am not enslaved to a substance or behavior that is
Right.
harmful to me. Free.
And staying in 10, 11, 12, which we hound into people, is a discipline. And they might see it as rules and whatever, but it keeps you free. But you have to take action, put it into implement what we're teaching, what we were taught, and we're doing it. And of course, we'll fall, we'll make mistakes, and then we'll get back in line and get back into our routines. And I think with with practice, then if you're not doing it, you get into practice, you will feel it. With experience, you're like, oh, they were right. Again, Alicia and Tom were right.
Well, I mean, I just I hate to go down this road, but I totally agree with you again, always. And so,
Well, we
guys,
talk about this all the time. It's
yeah,
like,
we're a little bit wacky, the two of us, but think about there's some real truths behind the idea that putting some sort of routine and discipline and some sort of habit in your life, it's freeing, whatever that is for you.
it totally is. It
I
totally
would be out of my mind and not feel free and beholden if my bed wasn't made and there were dishes in the sink and there was crap all over the house and my car was always out of gas and I was late
it's
for
like people
everything and I was
anxious, right?
right haphazard and didn't have any food in the refrigerator and I didn't answer emails and I missed meetings, and it would be that somebody might say, well, I'm free to do whatever I want. That's not free in my book. That's
a life unmanageable.
That's an unmanageable life, which
And,
I don't call
and
free.
I'm not saying they have to be perfect, but
Right.
recognize it and take baby steps to fix it. I don't know. Yeah.
All right, we have 3 minutes left. We're doing a short show today, guys, for the 4th, so that you can all go out and have your barbecues and go to fireworks and do everything that you want to do.
Yeah.
One last question for Alicea. Are you ready?
Okay. I don't know the answer, but go.
Gosh. All right. The U.S. national anthem. Is it God Bless America or the Star Spangled Banner? Which is the national anthem?
Star Spangled Banner.
Ding, ding. She got it. Yay. We almost got a mic drop out of that, right? Because she got one right. And
what was the first one? Oh, God bless. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that was
God Bless America. It's the Star Spangled Banner. And I want to leave you guys with a quote from Ben Franklin. And Ben Franklin was in the original Continental Congress. What state was he from, Alicea? Do you know what state? Ben Franklin. Yes. Oh, look at that too.
I pulled that out of my
butt. Wow. Ben Franklin. All right, I'm going to make it simple. One lot. John Adams. Where was he from?
I don't even know who that is.
Massachusetts. All right. We'll let you go on that because that was a little bit. But Ben Franklin, within the debate, when they were in the Continental Congress and they were debating whether to be independent or not. And if you guys don't know this, there was a significant debate that went on within the Congress over weeks about whether to become independent or not. And there was a block of states in the South that really were against it. They did not want to break away from England. They certainly didn't want to give up their slavery, because in the original version of the Declaration of Independence that Thomas Jefferson wrote, he banished slavery. It was a line in the Declaration. And the South said they won't sign it while that was in there. And Ben Franklin said, we have to, he said to Jefferson, we've got to win the small fights before we win the big fights, or the big fight before we win the small fights. And he encouraged Jefferson to not hold his ground on slavery, and he didn't. And slavery continued until the 1800s. I bet you guys didn't know that. He wrote it out in the Declaration of Independence. The other thing that argument that Franklin made for those that were arguing the security of to stay in because of the safety and security. We're gonna end, but I'm gonna read the quote to you, and I'm gonna just look. I want to do it right, so I'm gonna look it up. So bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
On Ben Franklin's quote on. Oh, I know what it is. It says, those that sacrifice freedom for security and safety deserve neither security and safety. That's a paraphrase, but he said that. So when you give your freedom away for compromise for your security and your safety, you really don't deserve either. So in this country, these were winning arguments. These were some of the arguments going on in the Continental Congress. And they finally got to the point where they all signed, because it had to be a unanimous signature. and we became the free place that we are today. So we want to, again, just wish everybody a very happy 4th of July. Stay safe. Yes, Cass is right. Don't blow your hand off. Remember, firecracker in an open hand, nothing happens. Firecracker in a closed hand, lose your fingers. So let's all just be safe out there. Have fun. And we'll see you guys all. You'll see Cass and Lisa on the 11th. They're going to come on and take over the show. Alicia and I may not have a show to come back to after those guys.
Exactly.
But we'll be off in Missouri running a master class, and we're going to come back and give you some great praise report on the work that we're going to be doing down in Missouri. Everybody have a happy 4th.
Happy
See ya.
4th.